Alrighty, so I'm back home, ready to do this review on the Sigma 35-70 f2.8, and this is going to be the Zoom Master version of this. It's also got auto aperture, which is super nice. So let's get into it. Of course, thank God that we're able to take these amazing photos that we're able to see here. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't take the photos, so thank God for that. And then also, we're going to go over, when we get started with this, 4 different categories, of course. We're going to go over the affordability, we're going to go over the accessibility, we're going to go over the build quality, and then also the versatility of this lens. 4 categories. They're going to be a rating out of 10. So let's go first with the affordability. I picked my version up for $18 including shipping, and I would say that was rather affordable. So I would give that a 10. For a 35-70 lens with manual focus and auto aperture, it's a Sigma lens on top of it. I won't knock the glass at all in any of this. The affordability of it is quite amazing. So $10, 10 for that, and for under 20 bucks, I can't complain. Granted, you may have to pick yours up for a little bit more expensive than that. I am a shark when it comes to trying to find these deals, and so I was able to find one, negotiate, and get it for that. But for something that you probably can pick up for under 100 bucks, I won't knock it. Would I suggest a different lens? Possibly, but let's get into the other parts. So let's go into the accessibility of this lens. The accessibility of this lens is rather low. I gave it a 6. I don't know what it is about this particular lens, but I had it stopped up quite high, f5.6, f8, and I still could not handle the bokeh. There is so much bokeh and blurriness to this lens, it's insane. But I will say, when it's in focus, it is absolutely gorgeous. This is probably one of the longest learning curves I've had out of all my lenses. I sat here and I used it very extensively beforehand. I just jumped into it thinking, hey, I've done 35-70s before, so I'm gonna just jump into it, take it to an event. I'm gonna take a bunch of photos. I'll have a second camera just in case I don't get any good photos from my Pentax, and I'll go with it. And I was going, I'm zooming, I'm going crazy with it. I got, great light, all that stuff. But man, was it hard. And not only that, but controlling the shutter speed, I needed to crank up the shutter speed or something, because I got a lot of distortion, I got a lot of blurriness. A lot of times it just looked like I was just shaking the camera, which didn't make sense because I did have a relatively higher shutter speed. I had it at least at 120, 160. So I have no issue shooting with that normally, so I don't know why that was an issue this time. So I had a lot of issues with this lens when it came to the learning curve, which is a 6, of course. So I still haven't really discovered that sweet spot. I've tried focusing it to infinity, and I still couldn't even get perfectly clear landscapes. I don't know what was going on, honestly. And it seemed to have that issue throughout the whole range. The longer focal range was a little bit better. 70 millimeters was a little bit easier to not get all that softness that I was looking for. But the second I went down to 35, I did get a ton of softness. It was just extremely difficult. So I would say a 6 for that. And then the next would be build quality. So for the build quality for this lens, I gave that a 7. I gave it a 7 because it is a great lens. It's lightweight, which is super nice, and the glass is impeccable. I'm not gonna knock the glass. If I get a clear photo, the colors, the contrast, it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So I want to perfect this lens. I want to make sure I'm a master at it. It's just gonna take me a lot of practice to get to know it, and that's where I will 100% advocate that if you're going to pick up a Sigma lens, I would say the SMC Pentaxes, especially the primes, are super easy to pick up and run and gun, and just they're pretty cohesive. The Sigmas take a lot of time to learn, so take your time, take a ton of test photos, and you will get a lot better photos. After going out twice using this lens, I sat down, I got a bunch of test photos. I just taken pictures of Dr. Pepper can until I figured out where that sweet spot is, and then I went out and I took a bunch of other pictures and they came out really well. I still wasn't able to get the infinity down right, but you know, it is what it is. I still got good photos, which is great. So I would definitely not knock that, but the aperture has no clicks. And what I've noticed about some of these Sigma lenses is that these apertures either are going to be really oily or they're going to be missing the click. So that's why I give this a 7 on the build quality, because it seems like I constantly have to repair a lot of the Sigmas that I get, and I don't know why that is. Maybe people are a little bit rougher with them, but this looks like a pristine version. Like there's no scuffing, there's no scratches, the lens is absolutely immaculate, there's no dust inside, but I lost the little ball that allows the aperture to click. Which, I mean, for some people maybe that's cool because I can do half stops in between, which is kind of cool that I can do these half stops. Maybe that's the reason why I'm having issues with the focus, is because I can't actually, you know, lock it into the right aperture setting. So that could also be it. Well, I had it in auto anyways, so I don't know. I guess that wasn't it either. So 7 on the build quality, just because some of these Sigma lenses, at least the ones that I've gotten, you know, 3 of them, and I've gotten 4 Sigma lenses, and 3 out of the 4 I've had a repair. So that's kind of where I give that a 7. And then the last thing that we're going to do is talk about the versatility of this lens. So of course it's a zoom lens. It does feel like it's several primes, not as much as the SMCs. The SMCs feel legitimately like they have the separate primes at the different focal lengths. But I was able to shoot a wide variety of subjects. The macro mode is cool. It's not super accurate or detailed. Like I said, I get way too much of that softening for the macro mode. So I'm going to give it a 7 because I felt like there was just like a niche range in which this lens works really well. And I'm going to give it the benefit of a doubt just because it's such a steep learning curve on this lens. So overall, this is going to be a 7 for this lens. Would I recommend it? Maybe. I'll give it a maybe. I would maybe recommend this lens. If you love softness, if you love bokeh, and you are doing a lot of the close-ups, and you're okay with just like, so I had a couple photos where my son was holding some wood chips in his hand, and his entire hand was out of focus, but his face was perfectly in focus, had beautiful contrast. If that's something you like, then pick up this lens, because you're going to get that very easily. It's not going to even be hard at all to get something like that. If you like to, you know, kind of play with that in post, or if you would like prefer to have more clarity, or if you want to do landscapes, do not touch this lens. Go somewhere else, get an SMC, get a completely different lens, because this lens is not going to work for you and it's just going to frustrate you. For me, it's a little too soft, it's a little too much bokeh, and it's a little uncontrollable. So I'm going to go ahead and say it's a no for me, but it could be great for somebody that likes that artistic detail. Alright, well, that is it for that. I have a Lumix review that I'm going to be doing on all the Lumix lenses I have for the GH6 that I highly recommend that you should get. Which ones would be fantastic. Oh, on another quick note, a lot of people, well, not a lot of people. Before I go, I wanted to talk to you guys about this lens in particular. This is another Sigma lens. This is the 28 mini wide, and I got this 28 mini wide for $5, and that's because it was absolutely destroyed. It was buried in a bag, probably someone's purse, and put in a what seemed like a goldfish bag with a bunch of crackers and applesauce. But I took the whole thing apart, cleared out the lens blur. I had issues with the after, fixed the aperture controls. I had issues with the zoom, fixed the zoom control. I have an entire video on how to break down one of these mini wides. So if you can, which based off of what I've seen so far, I'm really liking this lens. I will say that Sigma is killing it with these primes. This is a fantastic lens so far based off of what I've seen, and I cannot wait to go and review it. But I am going to have a repair video up. It's quite long, but that's because I'm going to go over completely disassembling this lens and cleaning it. And then again, also, if you like and subscribe, I'm definitely going to be giving away some of these lenses. I'm going to be picking up hopefully some Ashira lenses, some old school M42 mounts, and I'm going to try those out as well. So I'm super excited about that. And I just can't wait to get you guys some of these lenses. And maybe this is one of the ones you want. Maybe you want me to give you this exact lens, and I'm more than willing to give it to you. Let me give this lens to you. Let's just get to that 1,000 subscribers, and I'll go ahead and give it away. All right, guys. Thanks very much. Enjoy the photos. Of course, there's going to be lots of photos that you guys can take a look. They're all unedited, and tell me what you think. Thanks.